Hello, welcome to Whole Latte Love live streams. I'm John.
I'm Nick. We did not practice this beforehand.
And today we're going to be going through some fun summertime recipes. And we've cooked up, or brewed up, or cooled up, cooled off about 4 recipes for you. We're going to have some non-alcoholic recipes, some classics, and some alcoholic recipes as well. So this is going to be a fun one. We're going to be working with both cold brew and espresso as our coffee bases. Nick was able to bring in some really cool liquors and liqueurs, some stuff that I had, a couple of them not even heard of, so I was pretty excited about these.
Got some cool stuff coming for sure.
And a couple of these you actually created yourself, right? Some of these are original recipes.
Yeah, so to clarify on that, I would say one is an original recipe. The other, I will give credit to my friend David Scholl from Jura, actually. So I'm making a riff on a beverage he introduced me to called a Freshpresso. So we've got some cold brew drinks, and we also have some espresso drinks too. So
That's
it'll
right.
be fun.
We're going to have a good time. And you know what, Nick? You and I have not done one of these live streams together in a while, so...
I think that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so
our last one was.
Well, I was looking forward to hanging out and making some drinks with you. So,
Of course.
Before we get going, don't forget to subscribe to the Whole Latte Love YouTube channel so you'll get notifications about whenever we do these live streams and any other videos and cool stuff about everything coffee that we have coming out.
That's right. And so we are responding live to the chat as well. So we see you down there on our second TV. So if you've got questions for us or if you just want to say hello, we'll be responding throughout the stream. So James, who is a perennial viewer of our live streams, thank you for being with us. We've got Domenico as well from the Scottish Highlands. So, and Charlotte, of course, who's wishing she was in the Scottish Highlands. But yeah, we're going to have some fun today. So John, our first recipe is kind of a classic, isn't it?
Yeah. This is, I would call it maybe a modern classic.
Yeah.
We're going to kick it off nice and easy today. This is something you've probably already heard of. We're going to do a classic espresso tonic. If you go to coffee shops, you've probably seen espresso tonics over the past 10 years as one of the standard drinks in some coffee shops. I used to work at this one really great place called Glen Edith Coffee that had their own riff on it, very citrus-forward riff on it, so I'm excited to show you that. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. This is one of my favorite tonics. This is Fever Tree Tonic. A lot of cocktail bars and things like that use this brand, so of course I had to as well. We're also not just going to use espresso here, we're also going to squeeze a lime into there. And thank you, Nick. My secret ingredient is orange bitters, just to drive home some of that nice kind of like extra orange peel, citrus forward kind of a cocktail.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, I think Glen Edith may have been the first place that I was introduced to the espresso tonic, though obviously I'm pretty sure they're from Sweden or something like that. We had an espresso tonic phase here in the office for quite a while too.
Yes.
But you mentioned the Fever Tree, and this is going to be something that we're going to be talking about a little bit today, not just in terms of this drink, but in terms of a few others, is ingredient selection is important, right? So not every tonic would be a tonic that I would recommend for an espresso tonic, and really not every coffee even would be a coffee that I would recommend for an espresso tonic.
Yeah, that's right. I actually, we are going to be working with a new blend today. It's called Buzzopolis.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, in fact, Nick, if you've got the bag here, we just redesigned and actually completely redid the blend. If you've been with Whole Latte Love for a long time, you will probably recognize the name Buzzopolis, but we just recently reprofiled the blend. So much more citrus forward.
Yes.
And because of that, I think it's actually going to play really well into the kind of drinks that we're going to do today, especially the summertime. A lot of those summer flavors for me are a little bit more like higher acidity, like lemons
Brighter,
and things like that, brighter.
Effervescent.
Exactly. So I think a blend like that is going to work great as opposed to like a super dark blend.
Well, the cool thing is we're doing it on Spro and we're doing it on cold brew.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and this one is, we're going to do 2 drinks with espresso, and we're going to do 2 with cold brew. This one is an espresso drink. So Nick, I'll tell you what, would you do me a favor?
Yes.
Can you pull me a shot on the Gaggia Classic GT?
You know it.
And I will start assembling our drink here. The first thing that I'm going to do while Nick is preparing a shot of espresso, I'm just gonna get some ice in here. I'm gonna take this big chunk. Just get that out of the way. I like to start with ice. Some people don't start with ice. Some people do this last because it can foam up quite a bit. If you've ever made any kind of a sparkling coffee drink, especially espresso tonics, you can see a little bit of foamy explosion. So you got to be really careful the way that you assemble some of these drinks. And you'll see at the end when I pour the espresso into this drink just how slowly I do it. And that's from experience, because I've had espresso tonics explode on me in the past. So the other thing I'm going to prep while we get going here, I do want a lime, and I recommend doing a little bit of this. Just kind of roll your citrus, whether you're juicing an orange, a lime, or a lemon. That makes it a whole lot easier to squeeze. We're not going to be juicing this. We're really just going to squeeze it. And all we really need is nothing fancy, nothing crazy. We just need a little wedge. All right? So I'm going to cut it like this. Maybe I'll even cut it into thirds. I want to squeeze one wedge. I'm going to want to garnish with another wedge. There we go. So I've got 3 right here. We'll save you for later. Don't go anywhere, Mr. Lime.
Okay,
How you
shot's looking pretty good.
Yeah, how you doing over there?
Almost done.
Nice. What are we using over here, by the way?
Yeah, so, got you a classic GT. Hit that with a nice 12-second low flow pre-infusion, a little 3-second soak, and then there we go.
Beautiful.
36.9.
Right on the dot. Nice.
So here you are. I'll just take care of my mess.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go ahead and open our espresso. Open our tonic. Let's open our tonic. All right. Now, I don't want to lose too much effervescence, so I want to go nice and slow. I went a little aggressive at first there. That should do the trick right about there. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to take my lime. All we need is just a nice little squeeze, just like that. Next, this is the important part. Now, this is a fresh shot. It's hot, but I did use a lot of ice. Now, here you can see a lot of foaming up sometimes, so just nice and slow. It's kind of the name of the game.
That's nice too, seeing it as it kind of flows down between the cracks and all those ice cubes.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I really like this visually. I really like the
layering.
Exactly, this nice separation here.
Give that a quick rinse.
Oh, thank you, sir. Now that we can actually see what's really going on height-wise and volume-wise here, I am going to top it off with a little bit more tonic, but first, like I said, the secret ingredient, a couple dashes of orange bitters. That's all you really need. A little goes a long way when it comes to bitters. All right, now let's top it off with just a little more tonic, nice and slow.
You have your lime in there too?
You bet.
And now, do you do a wedge or no?
You bet.
All right.
Here we go.
Very nice.
And I like to cut it on kind of a little bit of an angle. And actually, I'm going to bring it in the other way. Get my big side in.
That looks very nice.
We are almost done. Just to mix it up a little bit. Make sure that all of our flavors come together the right way.
Just to give our glassware some, cred as well. This is one of the not neutral Vero latte glasses that we've prepared this in today. I mean, that was an easy build, but really nice too. So obviously now, and this is kind of the case with a lot of coffee cocktails, once that coffee coloring gets in there, it does tend to kind of make the drink one note visually, but if you're building this for a guest, it's very, very nice to look at.
Yeah, mixing it up, I would leave that to my guest, or if I'm in a coffee shop, leave it to the customer, because I want them to see, oh wow, look at that nice visual separation. But now that we are mixed up here, Nick, will you please be my guinea pig? Do you want to give it a shot for me?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, John, grab yourself another one of those little stir sticks.
Okay, yeah.
Well, just, we can both give it a little sip here and see what we think.
I see bartenders do this a lot. I see them do this thing. They'll test your drink like this just before serving it to you, just to make sure it tastes good.
That's quite nice.
Tastes good.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a nice one.
So
we
have a comment
a
actually.
ton of
too.
citrus on here, yeah.
Good evening, Whole Latte Love. I've never heard about espresso tonic in Germany, but it seems tasty. Oh, tasting quite nicely as it looks. Yes, so the espresso tonic is a really nice, just like I said, warm weather coffee drink. Obviously, there's no alcohol in it, negligible alcohol from the bitters, obviously.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But the quinine, like you said, I think pairs very well with something like espresso. Now, it does come down to the espresso that you're using, though, too. And this is going to be something we'll talk about when we get into the spritz that I'm going to make later. But you don't want to use a more traditional kind of like espresso roast.
Right.
You want to avoid those over, maybe overbearing is the wrong word, but the, very roast forward flavors that you can get, because ultimately you do have lime in here. We're going for citrus. We want that effervescence. You want a crispness to it. And so some shops will sort of just take their regular espresso blend and then, dump it in some tonic water. And that can be it can throw off the balance in some cases. And so like even the tonic selection, like Fever Tree, I know you recommended it. It's one of my favorites too. Is not as sweet. It is a little drier, which to me is really important because, if you get a lower quality tonic, in a lot of cases they're sweetened with like high fructose corn syrup. And that's going to be very, very sweet. And so then you get a hit of like this high sugar tonic, and then you get this very roasty espresso, and then maybe you have some lime in there too. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is a roller coaster. And you do want it to be a little more well balanced, I think.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Like a very, very, very dark roast, you're going to get way higher bitterness. Now, keep in mind, the quinine in the tonic already has plenty of bitterness. You do not need more, right? So,
but it's a pleasant bitterness, right? It's not like it's, overwhelming or anything like that.
Oh yeah, bitter is a one of those flavor qualities that, like anything else, you don't want too much of, otherwise you lose complexity, you lose balance, all those kind of things. So you can use bitterness to your advantage. I mean, I love Negronis. Campari is a very bittersweet liqueur, but it works with all the other ingredients in there. So, you've already got kind of a bitter component, so you don't really need the coffee to be over the top bitter. That's why I kind of like, what I was saying, single origins, things like that. They can work great in an espresso tonic.
Yeah, like a nice, tart Kenya or something like that even.
Exactly. So there could be a lot of fun to play with different single origins in an espresso tonic, see how it tastes. So anyway, that's our classic. That's how I just wanted to kick us off today.
Yeah, and I think too, really you just pulled a shot and then built in the glass, which I think is super, it's something anyone can do, right? And so I am bringing a bit of mixology into some of these other drinks. So we are going to be straining, we're going to be shaking. This one, obviously you need a bottle opener, which we were kind of scrambling for, I think.
2 minutes before we started, we found the bottle opener.
But, otherwise, very, very straightforward, very easy to make. So, sitting with a glass of ice milk and a double shot of espresso. Never tried with tonic. Yeah, so I mean, Domenico, that's the thing is we're hopefully going to give you some new ideas for what to do with some of your coffee. And so what I will say is you may even be able to interchange espresso for the cold brew in some of these recipes that we're making, but bear in mind that obviously you get some dilution and some melt, and so when you're shaking, that can be a little scary. So we're gonna move on, I think we're all good, right, to our next recipe, which is a shaken orange vanilla cold brew. So I'm gonna head over to the other studio. That's where we have the other ingredients, because one thing that I'm gonna say is some of these drinks we're gonna be serving up, meaning we're not going to pour them over ice. And the reason for that is I don't want it to really interfere with the texture and the mouthfeel of the drink, but at the same time then, we wanna make sure that everything is as cold as possible. So all our ingredients are basically in the fridge until we're ready to make them. And so John was kind enough to juice some fresh orange juice for us earlier today, so I'm gonna go grab that.
Sounds good. I'll go through some of the ingredients that we're gonna be working through with this drink. So I did squeeze some oranges fresh today. So we have fresh squeezed orange juice. By the way, we did try a version of this drink with store-bought orange juice. Even when it says fresh squeezed and all that, it's just no comparison. Anything fresh squeezed, for example, even the lime juice that we just used, is typically going to make a very noticeable difference, especially with the shaken orange cold brew. Yeah. So We've got fresh squeezed orange juice. We also made a vanilla simple syrup today with fresh vanilla beans. So again, freshness is the name of the game. You all know that. You know, you're buying fresh roasted coffee, fresh food is best, all that. So same applies with the drinks that we're making here. So Nick, what exactly is this? How do we make it? What is going on?
So here, we'll move this out of the way for just a moment. Thank you. And we've got Ron behind the camera today. So thank you for putting up with us, Ron. So basically, this is a riff on a drink that I was introduced to by our friends at Jura that was called the Freshpresso. And so basically, the Freshpresso is a shot of espresso with simple syrup. I believe it's a vanilla simple that they use as well, and orange juice. Now, for me, like I was saying, I kind of prefer having all the ingredients cold. That's why I wanted to reimagine this with cold brew. And the other thing, and I'll actually grab one of my glasses so we can start, is we do have an aromatic component to this. So behind us we have some lilacs that are actually from my yard because I have lilac bushes in my backyard. But this is a cold brew riff on this drink. And so it's really important too that you use fresh squeezed orange juice. So I would say just in any of your cocktails, you always want to go with fresh citrus when you can, but especially on a drink like this one, orange juice is actually very sweet. And I think that in a lot of cases when you're buying it from the store, you can get a lot of those preservatives in there that add to the acidity of it. And then in my opinion, on a drink like this one, where we want to emphasize more of the creamy vanilla as it syncs up with that orange, which are notes that are prominent in the Basopolis as it is. To me, fresh squeeze is really kind of the only way that you could do that. So for this recipe, I'm actually going to need
a shaker.
A shaker.
Yeah.
And so shaking adds air to your cocktail, and it also incorporates all the ingredients together. So typically, you shake cocktails that have citrus, and you stir them when they don't. So
that's why I'm stirring my Negronis and not shaking them.
That's right.
Got it.
Now we'll start with our cold brew. And so basically we want to do, I believe it's 3 ounces, right? Let me just double check there on the cold brew on this one, because Zach had written everything out in grams and then I translated it into fluid ounces for all of the Americans here. So let's see. 1 ounce, 3 ounce, 4.5. Perfect. Okay.
Very nice.
So for our 3 ounce, we're just going to use this guy right here. So 1/2 is 2 ounces. And then our other half is 1 ounce.
Beautiful. Nice. Now we did taste that cold brew by itself earlier. Very, very smooth. We tried another store-bought cold brew side by side. Very roasty. A lot of the big earthy kind of tobacco-y flavors. And tried it with this drink, and something a little less over the top dark roasted really did help in this recipe as well.
Yeah, you know, I think that, again, that just goes back to kind of the ingredients that you're using. You know, specialty coffees, generally speaking, are, you know, going to be roasted in such a way that we're trying to emphasize our origin and sort of the coffee itself rather than tasting the roast. And I think that's where kind of when we got the cold brew, and it's not a knock on, you know, a very popular local grocer, Wegmans, but, you know, their cold brew I think it was a little more discordant in my opinion when we wound up using it, because there is just much more of that kind of heavy roast note and character to it.
Kind of whacked the flavor profile a little bit out of balance is all.
I'm not a big fan of the lobster claw that we have here for scooping the ice, so I did bring myself a spoon as well.
Smart.
And so, yeah, the lilac is just going to be an aromatic component. So I've got a few of them back here. They're a little out of season. We did just have our lilac festival when they're all in full bloom. So these are not quite as, you know,
maybe not as aromatic as they once were.
As I'd like, but you know, we're going to bruise these too. And so what that means is I'm basically just going to wake them up a little bit with a little clap to get some of the oils expressed. So we'll just get this on here.
So you've got your 3 ingredients in there, the cold brew, the OJ, and the vanilla simple syrup that we made. And then we're just gonna basically top that off with our aromatic component, the lilac, which is
That's right.
a Rochester favorite. We've got this huge festival that goes for about 10 days in Rochester, New York here, called the Lilac Festival. So we're just about in season, but they just finished blooming.
Yeah. So there we go.
And what kind of glass are we using for this one today?
So this is the Quinto Kronos double wall coffee glass. It's beautiful.
Nice.
And I'm going to double strain this. So basically, we really want that texture, like I said. We want our foam. We don't want any ice chips. We're going to put our Hawthorne strainer on top. You can already see him catching those ice chips in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting a nice foam on there as well.
That's what I want to see. Nice, that looks fabulous.
There might be a little bit left in here too, even for a
Sure.
smaller glass.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ron, do you want to try some?
Yeah, Ron, you're taking good care of us, so if you want, we can.
Yeah, let's.
I don't know if I can fill a whole one, but
Well, you know, he'll kind of get the idea. You're getting just a taste, Ron.
so, but we're not quite finished yet. I'm gonna steal
One of the most important parts is upon us.
Yeah, so we're gonna take our lilacs and we're just going to.
That's called bruising.
That's right. And so if you ever see a bartender doing that, they're basically just getting the oils expressed a little bit more.
And of course, we want to arrange it so that it looks super nice.
Oh yeah.
Give it a little bit of an artsy touch.
I'm just trying to not get my fingers in the drink. And they're just there for a nice contrast as well. So the kind of light lilac color
Look at that.
really looks beautiful against that foam there. It's a kind of pale purple. And I don't know if we want to do overhead or not, but you know, very nice drink though.
And you know,
I'll give this a nice sip too.
I'll bring this one over to
go ahead and give
over
that
to
one to
Ron.
Ron.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was very easy to make. As you can see, we literally just combine our ingredients in a glass or in a shaker.
What do you think?
Oh man,
Come out okay?
it's almost like chocolatey, to be honest with you. I feel like that cold brew in there is just so creamy. You've got the vanilla,
Wow.
the orange juice too. It's just like, it's almost like a dessert drink in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you know, you're still getting that 3 ounces of your cold brew in there. Ron, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We got a thumbs up.
It's a thumbs up.
You know, but this is basically breakfast in a glass too. You're getting your OJ and you're getting your coffee,
That's
which
right.
maybe you didn't think to combine. But in the aromatics again, and have you tried this, John?
I just tried it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It kind of blew my mind actually. That was really nice. Dima says, can confirm the vanilla orange cold brew is absolutely divine. Yes, thank you, Dima. This is pretty amazing to me. I started seeing orange juice espresso on coffee shop menus a couple of years ago, and it was one of those things where everyone's like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about? There's no way that works."
Well, you know,
It can
actually, we are doing pretty well on time here. Do you want to try the Freshpresso in its original configuration as well?
Yeah.
Maybe make one with a shot of espresso here?
Let's do it. Yeah, I
So
think
we're
that's a
gonna-
good idea.
We'll change things up. Do me a favor, grab me one of those bigger coupes over there, and we'll change our ratio just a little bit. Since we're, you know, a shot's going to be a little bit smaller than our cold brew, so we'll try maybe about 1.5 ounces of espresso, maybe half an ounce max of the vanilla, and then let's do 3 ounces OJ.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean that was a pretty sweet,
Yeah.
a pretty sweet drink. So by easing back on the vanilla and maybe increasing some bitterness with
The
espresso,
espresso?
we
Yeah.
might have a little more a
You won't
different
have,
type of a
you
balance.
won't have a hard time, I think, finding somebody to sip that for you, though. You know what I mean?
No.
If you've got people who are kind of against coffee in particular, that I think would satisfy quite a bit. But yeah, I think you could, dial back on the simple just a little bit.
The vanilla is actually pretty out front
Right.
to me, so I think I might really enjoy one with espresso and a little less vanilla.
And so this is the vanilla that we made. Now, obviously, you made it in a saucepan, and then we put it in here. So we did not make, simple syrup in a French press, but
It did a nice job sifting out the seeds and larger components, though.
I'll tell you what. Let me go get this clean. If you want to pull me a shot of crema wave.
Well, let's come on over.
Buzzopolis.
Yeah, let's come on over here. We'll get a little shot of Buzzopolis going here.
And then I may grab us some more ice in just a moment.
Yeah, we are taking some trips off camera today because we're just keeping things nice and cold before each drink.
That's right.
So we're doing 18 grams.
Yeah, while you do that,
coffee
I'll
in.
just prep our other ingredients. So our orange juice
Yeah,
and our
fantastic.
our vanilla. So
Beautiful. All right, I've got 19. So I'm just going to get rid of just a little coffee. After perfect 18. After a while, you kind of just get used to being able to shave off just a little coffee and know that it's just about exactly what you want. That takes a little while.
And I don't know if you want, I could go down to a third, or maybe we think still a half for the simple.
Let's go down to a third.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
That's how I feel. I did actually really notice that the vanilla was in there. And I don't want it to be like the star of the show. I just kind of want it to sweeten it, like make it a little creamier and sweeten it up just a little.
Yeah.
And with that last one, it was creeping into the area where it might kind of be the star of the show just a bit, so.
And for those of you at home, obviously make things according to your tastes. Ultimately, I say this to people all the time, but what do you do with coffee? You drink it, right? And so thinking about it in terms of numbers, in terms of a recipe, that can be helpful, but at the end of the day, if you don't like the result that you get, obviously it's totally fine for you to improvise just a little bit. I'm gonna grab just a little bit more ice too, because I feel like we definitely wanna go a little heavier on ice, because obviously we're using a hot component this time. So more than we probably used for our Freshpresso, which is good, or I'm sorry, our shaken cold brew.
Right.
This is more so the Freshpresso. So again, thank you to my friend David from Jura, who introduced me to this drink, because it's a really nice one. So
I do have a feeling I'm gonna really enjoy the espresso version of this, but I really liked the cold brew riff on it as well.
we even played with nitro, but I feel like the nitro, it was so smooth and so creamy at that point that the coffee was almost completely lost.
I did think when we tried it with infused with nitrogen, kind of like a Guinness, I did think that it cut back some of the citrus components and just made it a little too creamy. There's plenty of creaminess already going on by the addition of the vanilla. So you don't need too much more.
Get our espresso in there. Give that back to you and just give this a quick swirl. Get those incorporated.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just lock in.
Now, a bartender friend once told me to make sure you are shaking with rhythm. Nick has great rhythm. He's got motion, rhythm, and music in his shake. I don't shake like that.
Some vinyls or something, and just get some tunes rocking. But, much more foamy on this one too, though, because we had the crema, obviously.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So,
Usually shaking anything with espresso does give you a little more foam, right?
where's my other strainer?
I see it right there.
There we are. Yes. Hiding on the. I'm just gonna rinse this real quick with some.
Sure. We're fresh.
But yeah, these coupes hold about 6 ounces.
Once again, a double strain, so you're getting the big chunks and the little shards, right?
That's right. Catch it all.
I do like this coupe. We've got a little bit of whole latte love inventory with our glassware today, and a little bit of Goodwill inventory too, huh?
Yeah, so a lot, if you're watching from home and you think to yourself, these look nice, but I don't have any cups like that, there's a lot out there that you can get secondhand that I would say, work perfectly for this kind of thing. So John, pick your 3 favorite lilacs.
I like this one. That's number 1. And you know what, Nick? I got to be honest, I've never done this.
Oh man, so you're really in the hot seat now.
Exactly, yeah. Is there a wrong way to, bruise the florals? Or you just kind of give it a good clap?
Well, I think that these are so small, these flowers, that, if you clap too hard, you may just obliterate them. So I would say, exercise some restraint.
Okay, I can do that. Here we go.
And there you go. Now you have to artfully place them. That's the other side of this.
All right, let's try a little bit of this.
I'll grab this guy here, and then I am going to put my
I would also like a nice centerpiece
over here, just so it's not in the way. And then, we'll be moving on to shaking again in just a minute.
All right, I get one of these guys hanging over the edge. How are my art skills? Could I have done a little better? I wanted a centerpiece too.
Yeah, so we got them side by side. Much lighter in color here, obviously. The
Of course.
espresso obviously gives us much more body. Do you want to try this one first and tell me what you think? And then
Sure.
I'll give that a sip too. But again, these recipes are flexible enough that you can, let's say you don't have cold brew, you don't want to use cold brew, you can use espresso too as an alternative.
Oh, you can tell that one has espresso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give it a shot. Oh, still plenty sweet.
Yeah, so definitely much more coffee forward. You still get a lot of that sweetness from the orange juice, like I was saying. Like a lot of people might think orange juice is just going to really ramp up the acidity, and that is, I'd say, really only the case when there's a lot of added acids for preservatives, right? Like I found generally when I've freshly squeezed oranges, there's like a little bit of that tartness, but like oranges are super sweet. And it does come down to the variety that you pick too. I think these are just navel oranges. Those are heirloom navel oranges. So.
Yeah. So yeah, still very sweet, and I'll tell you what, none of the components got lost. You know, I was worried about just tasting espresso. I can still tell there's orange juice in there. I even got some of the vanilla on the back end.
Much more intense foam, obviously, too, though.
Oh, sure.
Compared to the other one. So that's kind of the shaken orange vanilla cold brew / Freshpresso 2 ways. So again, if you don't have one method or the other, you can obviously exchange for both. So we'll slide those on over next to the
Let's line them up.
espresso tonic. And
now, next, I know that we have some pretty cool liquors and liqueurs that I haven't seen.
So
which I'm excited
grab
about.
a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be our first alcoholic drink that we've got. So this is going to be something, it would be a nice daytime drink for just warm weather when you're out and, enjoying the sun, enjoying the water, and you don't really want something that's going to be too heavy. So this drink's only about 5% alcohol, so it's as alcoholic as a beer maybe. This is, I call it a Limoncello Cold Brew Spritz. Now, we've got almost everything in front of us. The last step is going to be, I'll put the Liqueur Strega in the back, and I'll go over everything. This is kind of a nice foamy, lemony, effervescent drink. So it's going to be made with cold brew, so this is going to be about 25% of the recipe. We've got Peychaud's bitters, so it's a very kind of anise-forward bitter. Limoncello, so that's going to give us some sweetness and some lemon backbone and body to the drink. A splash of Liqueur Strega, so this is a very intense herbal Italian liqueur. So very heavy on the anise notes, vanilla, mint, cinnamon. So we're only going to use a 1/4 ounce of that because it is very, very powerful otherwise. And then just to balance things back out, 3/4 of an ounce of freshly squeezed lemon juice. So I'll take care of that now. And then John, tell us a little bit about that on the nose there.
Yeah. I had not seen this before today. You can tell the saffron gives it that kind of like highlighter yellow color.
The yellow comes from saffron.
A lot of mint on the nose. I was almost even getting like kind of a cardamom kind of a note there. A little bit of, definitely a lot of lemon.
You want to give us a quick rinse for me?
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited to use this today.
So for our recipe, for this drink in particular, we're going to use 1.5 ounces of cold brew. And so this is a drink where, again, the quality of your components is going to play a huge role in things, because we made this using some of that store-bought cold brew, and because this is a very effervescent drink, because this is a beverage that's going to be very citrusy and light, we found that the much more traditional kind of roasty notes were not at all in sync with what we wanted as far as this drink goes when it comes to the overall finish in the aromatics. So that's our fresh lemon. Got some nice lemons, very juicy, John.
Once again, freshness is the name of the game when it comes to the citrus.
So we're going to do our limoncello.
Now the limoncello is not a crazy acidic
No,
liqueur.
no, it is not.
Mostly just like kind of that lemon zesty kind of sweetness.
This has a lot of that kind of lemon rind, lemon zest. It's a, you know, very much like the aromatics of lemon, not so much the acidity. But I love acidity, so that's obviously why we went in with some of the lemon juice as well. That just helps, I think, with the balance, cut against some of the sweetness.
And all you really need with that Strega is what, a quarter ounce?
A quarter ounce. I mean, you pour it in and you immediately can smell it. And so because this is a very anise-forward liqueur, right, what we're doing with the Peychaud's bitters is, these being anise-forward as well, they're going to just help bring out some of that anise character from the Strega as well, just so it doesn't get totally lost. So, John, I'm going to go ahead and shake like a madman, and I'll have you get me 3 ounces of Topo Chico. So this is about a 7-ounce Nick and Nora glass that I'll be pouring into here.
Sounds good. I can do that. Why don't you show us some of that rhythm?
Well, it's the last time you'll see it, right? And then the last drink's yours. So the carajillo that we have coming up here.
That's right.
Although we could try, if we have time, to make this with espresso as well. I mean, this is one of those drinks, again, we're going to serve up, meaning no ice. So, you know, pretty much you're going to prepare it and then drink right away.
There we go. All right, I've got our sparkling water ready to go. I do like Topo Chico, a little extra bite, bigger bubbles. Yeah. And that really helps when we're adding something that is not quite as effervescent. So that'll balance it out really nicely.
Yeah, I like Topo Chico specifically because I'm a big fan of the carbonation in there. Double strain, obviously, because we're not barbarians.
And now you need some more fresh citrus here, huh?
Just a little for our garnish. But take this and there we go.
Now, you chose these bitters as opposed to Angostura.
That's right. And so we are going to get a bit of foam because we are adding sugar in there too. So we're just going to take a minute.
Let some of that foam settle.
Let a little of that foam settle, but a nice controlled pour.
I'm seeing in the chat, putting in a request for a Nick with the Shaker compilation video.
We may need to clip that, you know.
Yeah, I'll talk to Mark about it.
But that's
do a shake off.
You know, ooh, that sounds intense. So that's basically the whole shaker, though, too. So it is good when you're making recipes too to just kind of experiment, just as far as what fits in what. So it's kind of the perfectly sized glass here. And then we've got just our little lemon. So
Wow.
looking pretty fresh there.
Look at this masterpiece.
Wow.
Not bad.
John, do you want to do the honors?
I'd love to do the honors.
There you are,
There's
sir.
several of us here in the room right now that might want to try this.
Clean that up. That's right. What are we thinking?
That is, you know how when it comes to beers, coffees, I like to use the word crushable, you know, for things like Italian Pilsners, stuff like that. I would say crushable on that. You know, you can just make them disappear very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guest star here.
Oh,
remember this
we
guy?
do have a guest. Where are you from?
Give some to Ron. Come on. He's about to walk back to his desk with it.
Yeah. I mean, so now if you don't have something like Strega, right, at your bar, limoncello you might have. I think it's a little bit more common. You could just up the amount of limoncello to compensate for the lack of Strega. That will take the ABV down just a little bit. So right now we're at about 5. So you're not really going to get in too much trouble. This is a 6-ounce drink, right? So it's essentially half of a beer and maybe 1/4 of a cup of coffee, you know? So it's been returned with significantly less. So
Zach, quick thoughts on it.
Yeah, Zach, actually, yeah. Talk to us just a little bit.
I feel like it tastes like spring.
Like spring.
Exactly what I want.
So we went
Very
back.
refreshing.
We went back a season.
Or maybe summer. I think it could be either one.
It could be either one, spring
Right?
or summer. Yeah.
Whenever the sun's out. That's what it reminds me of.
You know, for those of you though, like I was saying, maybe you don't have Strega, and maybe you even don't have Peychaud's bitters. You know, I feel like we are getting into a little cocktail nerd territory with this.
That's okay.
You could up the limoncello for sure. Even if you are not as much of a fan of the acidity, maybe reduce from 3/4 of an ounce lemon to 1/2 ounce, and then up your limoncello as well, or up your cold brew. So, you know, for me, I like a very kind of crisp, fresh, effervescent, you know, drink. Especially just, I think the acidity makes it just a much faster drink to just kind of, like you're saying, kind of crush, right?
Crush it.
So that you're not, you know, because half of this is obviously sparkling water too. So when you're out there and you're hot, you want something, you know, you're playing badminton or volleyball or.
I'm not looking for a chocolate stout when I'm.
Yeah, absolutely not. You
No.
want something that's going to just be crisp and it's going to, you know, not give you any trouble. So.
Right. You know, and I mean, this is kind of a day drink.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're day drinking, you want to take it easy because you don't realize exactly how it's going down. But anyway, this you know what I would do here? I might even drink that on like a rainy day. It's rainy in Rochester, New York right now. For those kind of days, I think, ease back on the lemon juice a little bit so that some of the other elements can come forward.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think on a even hotter day, this exact recipe, a little extra lemon juice, be right where I
Well,
want
you're
it.
getting into like shandy territory, obviously.
Of course, yeah, which I don't mind. I like them. So.
Yeah. And, you know, actually, I'd say we're probably good to go into the carajillo, to be honest with you. We've got about 18 or so minutes left on the clock. So, John, tell us a little bit about the carajillo, because this was not a drink I had ever heard of before.
Yeah, this is a classic Spanish cocktail. It's actually very popular in Mexico. So one of the easiest recipes that you could possibly imagine, it's 1 part espresso and 1 part liquor 43. It's got to be the exact same ratio. Put it on ice, shake it up, and then I like to serve it in a rocks glass. Now I'm told that people do actually drink this hot as well. I didn't try that. To me, there's just not quite as much to work with there. You know, you've got like an ounce to an ounce and a half of espresso, same amount of liquor 43. There's not that much to sip on. I think that when you shake it with some ice, it's going to, water it down just a little bit, froth it up a little bit, get you a little extra volume so there's more to drink. I also like to garnish it with a nice orange peel and give it a good squeeze, you know, get some of those, the orange zest on there, some of the oils. And I like to take a cinnamon stick and stick that right in there. And I just put it in a little rocks glass. Very small drink. You know what you can do? I would call this either, you know how I like to use the term sipper or crusher. You can do either with this one. You can either just sip it, take it easy, make it last a long time, or if you're in a good mood, put it back, make it a crusher. So let's see what we decide to do with it today.
All right, well, John, let me rinse these out for you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And then you're going to need a shot for this too.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind pulling me a shot. Now, this is what I'm going to do. Everyone kind of pulls shots differently. You know, if you're doing like a 1-to-2 ratio of like a single shot, for example, you know, 7 to 10 grams, then your output is going to be 14 to 20 grams. So that's going to be a pretty small shot, and since you have to do a 1-to-1 ratio of espresso to liquor 43, that might mean that my, you know, 18 in, 36 out recipe is going to be a bigger drink than, you know, the 7 to 10 gram recipe. So that's why I'm going to wait for the espresso to be brewed first.
You want a 1-to-1 on this? Is what you're
I'm going to 1-to-1 it.
1-to-1.
So whatever the volume of espresso is, I'm going to match it with the Liquor 43. I am going to get some ice ready here.
But as far as my shot, you're saying you want the shot 1-to-1, or you
Oh
want
no, the
1 to
shot
2?
1 to 2.
Okay, yeah. I was
The
getting thrown
espresso-
for just a minute there.
Exactly. The espresso to Liquor 43 ratio, that's going to be 1-to-1. I'm throwing around a lot of numbers today, Nick.
All right.
Well, you know. All right, let me use my claw here.
You are using the claw. There you go.
I am using the claw.
And if I recall, this guy had some serious foam.
This had some serious foam.
Yeah.
Barely fit into the rocks glass that I'm going to be using today. We're actually using the not neutral Vero, but you know what? Some of the foam actually did sit on top and kind of pile up really nicely. It kind of made a little mountain.
Yeah, some of this coffee glassware is actually very multi-purpose, which I really enjoy about it.
Yeah, you know, I do see a lot of these not neutral Vero glasses in coffee shops. You know, they have cappuccino-sized glasses. My favorite is the cortado-sized glass.
They have so many colors, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Local
beautiful.
Cafe just got some nice blue ones, in fact.
Ocean, I believe it's.
Ocean is the name of the color. That's right. All right, now let's get my glass out here. This is about all we need as far as the size of the glass goes. And some people do actually like to use a bigger glass and put it on ice. Either way is just fine. I like it without ice. I like to just really let the foam kind of speak for itself. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get us a orange peel ready to go here too.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you have all these nice cutting boards, and you're about to cut right on the counter.
I don't need to live that way. I can actually utilize a.
All right, and here's our shot.
I've got just awful knife skills. I've got a cousin who at one point was a Michelin star chef. He saw me cut once and he goes, "Oh, just terrible knife skills, John." That's between us though.
Of course.
And you
of
guys.
course.
All right. Now here it looks like you have about a little more than an ounce of espresso. Okay.
We loaded up with
So,
ice, too.
we are loaded up with ice. This is what I'm going
right.
to do. I'm going to take this other graduated shot glass here, and I'm just going to do a 1-to-1 here. So,
Yeah, so if you don't have a bunch of cocktail equipment, but you do have shot glass pitchers, those work for measuring just as well as like a cocktail jigger. Honestly, and they pour very well with the different spouts. So.
Oh yeah, these are triple spout. All right.
So this stuff too, very sweet, very vanilla forward. I felt on the nose with it. And you're
Yep.
going to serve this one up as well, actually.
That's exactly right.
Nice synchronized pour there.
Thank you very, very much. I did not major in synchronized swimming, but I got something right.
Well, and you know, I'm glad this is going to be your shake. Actually, we're gonna.
You know, I don't have quite the rhythm that you have, but I can shake. Nick's got this, you know, this up and down thing going. I've really just got this thing going. That's about it. I was hoping that you were going to shake. You've got way better rhythm.
Well, you're doing the vertical shake. I'm much more a fan of the horizontal shake.
Like this.
Yeah, and then
With your
you
little
kinda
up and
wanna
down. Kind of give it a little circular
give the,
motion.
You know, V, right? Getting the ice going back and forth all the way between the front and the back.
Ah, good point.
There you go.
Uh-huh. And you want to do that until it's just about frosty. I'm starting to feel it now. Let me break these guys apart. Can you tell I was never a bartender?
Neither was I, as a matter of fact. Oh.
I had it on there, yep. All right, now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the other shaken drinks. We're going to double strain. Speaking of,
Want
to give this guy a little rinse for me?
Rinsacino for you there.
Yeah. And I've already got my orange peel ready to go. And you know what? We're also going to get a cinnamon stick ready to go here. Oh, Nick, you've helped me out. Thank you.
I did, actually. I was planning ahead. And I got you the short one because it's a shorty little cup that you got there, too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Here we go.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that, though. That's essentially just all foam.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and you know, after a little while, a lot of this foam is actually going to pile on top of each other, too, which is very cool.
That
There we
it looked
go.
almost like custard before. It was ridiculous.
Wow, look at that. You know, and I do have a little more foam in here. What I noticed is some of the foam can kind of harden just a little, kind of leans into its own viscosity quite a bit. And that can help you kind of pile it up, almost like.
And now John is just, he's praying to the gods of surface tension right now.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Because he still has to put a cinnamon stick.
I say my nighttime prayers to the surface tension gods. All right, let's do our little cinnamon stick here. And I'm actually just gonna rest it right there.
That may be more necessity
than anything
aesthetic
else.
choice. That's right.
All right, let's get some of these oils in there, and I can actually see the oils kind of popping some of these nice foamy bubbles as well. Oh, Nick, I really went for it here, didn't I?
That's the non-neutral cortado. We may need to go next time with the cappuccino, but I think you're gonna be okay.
I think it's gonna be okay too. It might be just going over the edge a little bit, but I think it's gonna taste killer.
That looks very nice. I love seeing that pop of the orange there too.
Yeah, now let's show everybody this angle at home too here. Yeah, that little pop of the orange is really helping out. Yeah, you can see that I really did go overboard here. I was getting a little overzealous, but
nobody ever talks about going underboard though. So.
Good point. Now, I had the first sip of the last couple of drinks, Nick. Why don't you go ahead and...
I feel like this is, you know what, this is a dangerous offer you're giving me though, right?
Well, I'm giving you the fullest drink, so you have to be the one to spill it everywhere.
That is what I'm saying here. So this gift comes with a string attached.
Exactly. Now, I'm seeing in the chat here, whoever's manning the whole Latte Love account right now says, need a shake supercut.
I feel like that's probably Mark. So he's probably over there trolling me right now.
That's got to be Mark.
But yeah, I'm going to give this a try, and I'm going to try and get some of those orange and cinnamon aromatics.
You might have to get rid of some of that foam on top, too.
So the orange, honestly, way more apparent than I thought it would be.
Never.
Really? Mark says never.
And I don't know if that's the oils that you expressed or if that's the Liquor 43, to be honest, but also the Bizopolis. But this is a very intense drink.
Yeah.
Like it's sweet, yes, but we've got some, I would say, orange peel intensity to this. So this is very much, to me,
Ooh, yeah.
orange essence, right? This is that fragrant, powerful orange oil that you get when you express.
That is...
really no acidity to this. There's no citrus component other than just expressing the orange over it.
You know what I might do next time?
What's that?
Is before I even pour anything into the glass, I might squeeze some of the orange essence into the glass.
Express into the glass.
Really, yeah, yep. And I think that that might kind of get a lot of that all over the place instead of just on top of the foam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Ron, I think we're going to need another taste test from you, sir. Let us know what you think. It's a delicate one, as shown by the cinnamon stick going right in there.
Yeah, but no, the carajillo, I feel like that's like a nice, nighttime kind of. Like I could definitely see myself sipping on that in several seasons, not even just the summer, but yeah.
You know, it's heavy enough that I can kind of imagine like a fireplace kind of a wintertime drink as well.
Summer bonfire or something like that.
Exactly. Now I'm told that these are served a lot in Mexico City.
Okay.
So to me it just means you can serve it hot, cold, no matter what the temperature is. Great. People use this as both an aperitivo and a digestif. So before a meal or after a meal. I mean that's how I treat my Negronis, which is of course you guys know it's my favorite cocktail. Before or after a meal, it's good at all times anyway. So, well, that's my attempt at the carajillo, and I really enjoyed it. The Liquor 43. The vanilla properties of it really help some of the shaken espresso come together.
Full than others, but Ron, do you have a favorite?
The second drink, yeah, the shaken orange juice cold brew. Yeah. That was. We're gonna have to thank. Was it David from
from
Jura?
That's right.
We got to thank him for that recipe.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I always give credit where credit's due. I think that For me, honestly, it was one of those things that opened my eyes to just sort of thinking outside of the box with espresso. For those of you who are watching from home, I hope that you've enjoyed kind of seeing some of the other stuff that you can do with coffee, right? Because for me, a really big thing is you get a machine at home and it's like, okay, well, I get to look at it and it's beautiful, but like, what else can I do with it? Because there's a lot that you can do with coffee.
You can make classic coffee drinks, cappuccinos, lattes, things like that. There's more than just milk drinks or Americanos that you can make with your machine. You can really get your mixology hat, put it on with these kinds of cocktails as well. You know what else is interesting? You can use coffee as a component in a drink.
That's right.
And it has some coffee essence and some coffee notes to it, but it's not all about the coffee. It's one part of a beautiful symphony.
Now, do you want to try a hot carajillo just to cap things off?
I think that's a good idea.
I have a plan. I have a plan that's going to be, we're going to rinse this out.
Okay.
And we're actually going to, just so that everyone can see, we're doing it hot. We're going to use a steam wand.
No kidding.
I think that that's the play here.
Okay.
I think that that's the play.
I'm interested in where you're going with this.
So, we've done a lot of Americanos in the office lately, right? John, what is an Americano?
I don't think you guys have made a lot of Americanos. I don't think I have made one at all.
So it's basically where we brew espresso over ice and then froth it to add volume and, air, obviously.
Right.
So in this case, though, because it's going to be hot, we're just going to steam together our Liquor 43 and our espresso, and we're gonna see how that works out, because
Awesome.
It actually kind of terrifies me, the idea of shaking hot liquids in my shakers. So I feel like that would be potentially very explosive. So
I can barely hold it when it's cold. So
if you want to go ahead and set up a little bit of that Liquor 43 for me.
Yeah, and it looked like last time we had about just a little less than an ounce and a half of espresso, so I'm going to go for about the same.
Just a little shout out to my Varia scales here too that I've been using for all my coffee today. Got the standard Accu that we've done for all our dry dosing, and then our Accu Mini set to Accu Spro mode for all of my shots that I've been pulling today.
Yes, shout out to Varia and Gaja and Chiato. We got a nice E37S grinder that we're using for all the espresso shots today
very
as well.
nice, reliable grinder. Huge burrs, very fast. Great grind distribution as well. And John, do we have any other comments, or are we just talking to ourselves at this point?
I have been saying this for a long time. My end game grinder for my home espresso setup is the Chiato E37S. That might be one of the biggest comments that I've got today. No, the biggest comment that I have is actually that my favorite drink on the table here is probably the Limoncello Cold Brew Spritzer. I think the next time that we do a badminton night, you're going to have to whip some of those up.
I feel like you're saying that just to be nice to me, but I will accept that answer.
No, I'm saying it so that we can do that exact thing.
Well, it would be my pleasure. So we're going to pull our shot here and then add our Liquor 43 and we'll be good to go.
Awesome. And then do you want to serve it in
We'll use the same cup.
Yeah, great.
We'll see if we added more air with our steam or with our shaking.
Awesome. And I'm excited for that Gaja Classic GT to come out.
Coming soon. So if there are those of you in the audience who are excited, it's just a little while longer and it will be available. So.
All right, let's steam this up. We've got both the espresso and the Liquor 43 all together in that nice glass steam wand here. And you want to just try and add some air into it, right?
That's right, because
we're not necessarily trying to just get the drink scorching. We just want to add some air.
Because it's already hot from the espresso.
Nice. Actually, look at that. That's nice and aerated. Check us out.
Our foam is not nearly as intense. I mean, and in this case, let's just let's see here.
Well, you know, it's tough. It's a small drink. It's really difficult to.
Show off my knife skills for a minute.
Yeah, I think you're gonna beat me on knife
Let's
skills.
see if we can't just. Oh, you know what? I feel like you spoke too soon. Look at our orange anyway.
Knife skills. Look at him go. Now here, doing that spritz of the orange oils after is going to work okay because you don't have all this foam.
I kind of want to just
catching
toss
it.
this. Right
Toss it in, yeah.
There we are. And we'll try our hot carajillo.
Let's see what we got.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I feel like I'm on board with either version,
Okay.
but I almost kind of prefer it hotter.
Oh.
I just feel like these flavors to me,
Whoa.
and it is toasty, you know. But like these flavors to me, wow, I want them hot, right?
That is an awesome after dinner drink right there.
That, yes,
really,
that's
really
awesome.
awesome after dinner drink. Wow.
But I feel like we've overstayed our welcome just a little bit.
You know, we're 1 minute over. We were having fun.
That's right.
Well, Nick, you want to sign us off here?
Sure. So I'm Nick.
I'm John.
Thank you so much for joining us today for some coffee-inspired warm weather recipes. So obviously, as the weather heats up, you don't need to put your coffee away. So, you know, we are doing these live streams every Friday at 3 p.m. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can stay on the up and up for what we have coming next, and obviously to keep in touch with all of our latest videos as well.
That's right. Nick, nice to do a live stream with you again, sir.
My pleasure, John.
Everyone at home, thanks for tuning
Take
in.
it easy, everyone.
Cheers.